Yeah, this is super exciting talking about what's going on in Colombia right now. So I'm glad that we have you both here. And I think it's important to kind of update people to where we are now, because it's, a forever changing situation. And of course, the struggles aren't going to last forever. So, Andre, can you talk about kind of what stage we're at right now in struggle?
Yeah, in fact, we are almost 2 months since the beginning of this wave of struggles. And the mass movement has reached a decisive moment now. Either it moves forward or it moves backward. So it's a very important moment we are living now. So the mass struggle managed to put the government against the wall and defeated the tax reform, the neoliberal counter-reform in the health system, overthrew ministers of the government, etc. So the government even announced a kind of reform of the police after the enormous repercussions of the accusations against the repressive apparatus of the state. But even so, there was no demobilization. So, thousands of people stay on the streets. Thousands of road blocks remaining throughout the country. Barricades were erected to protect the territories from the repressive action of the police, the army, and the paramilitaries. Mass demonstrations continued to take place. So the government then called for the formation of a dialogue table with the Comité Nacional del Paro, the National Strike Committee, which is formed by the trade union confederations and some other movements. But this dialogue is nothing but a farce. The government has not made any commitment in the negotiations and has not even agreed to discuss the revocation of the Decree 575, which promoted the militarization of several regions of the country. Its only objective is to gain time to contain the movement in the streets and demobilize workers and youth. So the government pretends to be open to negotiations on one side and maintains repression on the other side. So on June 6, the Comité Nacional del Paro, the National Strike Committee, decided to leave the negotiation table, but they should not have even entered this trap. It was a mistake just to enter it in this proposal. So, but instead of organizing the deepening of the struggle, the intensification of mobilizations, and building a real general strike, what the union leaders did was to call for an end to the roadblocks and try to give a sign of goodwill that they are open to continue to negotiate. So the same kind of call for demobilization and the end of the blockades was made by politicians considered progressive, such as the mayor of Bogota, Claudia Lopez, and the former presidential candidate Gustavo Petro, who is expected to run in the May 2022 elections again. So with this, they managed to end many blockades throughout the country, but this is a serious mistake. Instead of forcing the government to retreat through mobilization, a stronger mobilization, or even overthrowing this government by intensifying the struggle, these leaders think that more concessions, retreats from the movement, and appeals for negotiation will bring results. So the government, with the support of the media and politicians, continues to try to divide the movement between a wing that go to the streets in an orderly fashion and a wing of those who are actually considered by the government and the media urban terrorists, infiltrated guerrilla agents and things like that. So in this way, they want to gain some support among the more conservative middle classes by assuming the banner of order and security. But there are still large sectors of youth resisting in the streets and blockades. Recently, a national popular assembly with thousands of delegates from social movements met in Bogota, and decided to maintain the mobilizations and not submit to the policies of the Comité Nacional del Paro, the National Strike Committee. So let's see if this movement develops and adopts a strategy of struggle and a more coherent and consequent program. So the only possible way is to build a strong movement of the masses from below in the neighborhoods, in the territories and workplaces, creating and strengthening self-organization with committees of struggle, popular assemblies, and building a national plan of mobilizations that will lead to a real general strike. And in this way, it's possible to achieve the overthrow the Duque's government and the system that created and sustained it, revoking all the neoliberal attacks and punishing those responsible for the repression and disbanding the anti-disturbance squads and all the repressive forces. So this program must be linked to an alternative of an anti-capitalist and socialist character by the movement.